here with my friend Roberto Tussa Alencar, a true BJJ legend, a four-time IBJJF No-Gi World Heavyweight Champion, 2009 No-Gi World Absolute Champion,
Correct.
Pan Am Brazilian National Champion, ADCC veteran, head of Gracie Barra New Mexico, and coach to greats like John Jones and many more. Thank you, bro.
Thank you. All point.
Father of two.
Father too, proud
husband,
father.
proud father of two, husband, and a lot more.
Yes, this is honor.
We made it. We finally made it happen.
Yeah, this has to do a lot with you, sir. We're gonna talk about you today. Yeah.
We can talk about you. We talk about you too.
But
Mainly you.
Me has to do with you too. You know,
Yeah.
when it had that history, someone has to be part of it. You are.
But now you're in Orange County, right? Your
Yes.
wife is from.
Based on Orange County. Yeah, she is from Orange County, born and raised, and she went to New Mexico when we started dating. You know, and she said, "I'll finish my college here, and I'm heading back to California." And she did it, and then here I am here. Yeah. But,
She moved over like a deed, right? She
exactly. I relate a lot of that to you. Yeah, when I have it to you, it was okay. I saw that before happening.
And so we met. I think the first time we met, actually, I came to the Gracie Barra Irvine when they had the small little school. They were just starting out, Master Carlos Gracie Jr. I think I met you for the first time there, and then we did like a super fight. Well, we did a duel, because there weren't any schools at the time in New Mexico, right? So we did like one match against other schools close by, right? So like a dual kind of tournament, right? And then the finals was four black belt super fight, right? And we needed like a black belt, right? And like a Rafael Lovato Jr., like a Pezon, like you know.
Vini Magalhães, Pezon.
Yeah. Homolo, and then you know. And oh yeah, Tussa is available, right? And then you stayed for, I think, a couple weeks, something like that, right? Remind me.
Yes, I was there for the super fight, and then you offered me to come back for July. That was in May, and say, hey, would you like to come here for a month? And it was like June, July.
You know what it was? It was your personality. You were so kind and nice. I was like, man, he's really nice, really cool, and good jiu-jitsu, of course, too. You know.
That's what I know you do a podcast, you interview me here, but I was going to ask you, what made you to offer me the job in there, you know?
Yeah, we clicked right away, you know, like just your personality, the way you were like very kind, very like let me know how I can help, you know? And then what else happened? We met, and then yeah, you stayed for like a month, right? Remind me. I was just in a minute.
Actually, what ended up happening, I was invited for the super fight. I moved from Brazil
from Brazil,
US.
You moved from Brazil,
in 2006, and I got my black belt on the Master Carlos on April.
That's right. And I was there for when you got your black belt.
Yeah. And then I went to Atlanta with Fabio Costa, one of my professors. And that's when I got invited by you to go for the super fight in May. The super fight in May in Santa Fe.
Santa Fe, New Mexico.
So you were there for a few days, and then I think that you saw that because I got over there, and then you setting up the mat. So let me help. I said, no, you're super fight. Just sit down and rest. I said, no, let's run on the mats. I cannot sit there and watch you guys run on the mats, you know.
Yeah.
So I was on top, and I was excited to be in the West, you know, and having a super fight. I was like, hey, I was fresh black belt. So I was on the top of the world, you know.
Yeah.
With $600 in my pocket, so it's not about money. It was like I have no plans, you know, what to do, you know. And then say you come back.
You know, come back, right? And then because you were gonna stay, actually, I don't know when it happened, but you said, "Hey, I want to stay," right? And you were gonna stay maybe illegal.
Oh yeah,
something like that. You were gonna stay, yeah.
I said I will stay no matter what.
And I was like, wait, hold on, yeah. You're like, I'll find a way. And I was like, hold on, let me do a extension, right? Because Renato Migliaccio, right?
Yes, you mentioned. I remember.
He stayed with me years before he behind Gracie black belt, all that, and he had like, you know, he could never. He went back to Brazil. You know the story?
Yes.
He went back to Brazil, and then he couldn't come back, of course, because he overstayed his visa. But then he got on the Greco-Roman national team for Brazil, and actually he had something happen in Europe, so he was banned in Europe, banned in the U.S., and then the guys, the Olympic team, you know, the Brazilian national whatever Olympic team. they're like, what's going on with why are they giving us a hard time for your visa, you know, to come to US? But then they approved it, you know. I think he came for like the US Open or something, you know.
I remember he went back
And then
there.
he stayed, and now he has an awesome school in the LA area in Sampa BJJ in Glendora, California.
It's awesome, but that I remember you gave me many advice, all you know, and one of them would say, "Hey,
Man, it was so difficult, you know, because he's a really nice guy too, and it was really difficult once you like overstay your visa to come back from that. Like the only way is for you to like marry or you know like,
and
and it puts you such a bad deficit, right?
and a lot of the fellows from Brazil, there sometimes they have no understand what that would impact. They think, oh, if I stay illegal, it's not a big deal, but they're actually breaking the law. And my mentality back in the days,
Oh, you're a kid.
young,
We're kids,
25
right?
years old,
we
you
were
know,
young. That's
never
it.
had a job, never left
Exactly.
the country. So I was like, hey,
Right,
this is
because Brazil's
this is it.
different, right? When you live at home with your parents usually, right? You're just you're doing jiu-jitsu, and then you have this opportunity, right, to come to the U.S. and you're like, man, yeah, I wanna try to stay here.
It's not for everyone. It's not everyone that adapts and like some people, some of my friends, you know, end up moving back. But I felt, you know, I think the gut feeling you think there, you know, I felt that was it, you know, and way back into New Mexico, that's when I came back in June to do a month of a trial. I think that's when you invited me to start teaching there for a month. I remember my first 4th of July in the US.
You worked a little bit. You spent a couple of weeks. Remind me. And then I was like, you were not sure where you wanted to go because New Mexico is different, right? It's different from, you know, not a lot of people. It's desert, right? Like, you know, it's different than probably a lot of other states, right?
Yeah, I was traveling because I competed a lot, so we would
Right.
travel. I was here in LA, you know, when we first arrived, and then I went to Atlanta, big city,
Right.
and then I spent a little bit of time in Boston, you know, Massachusetts, with one of my cousins, and I spent a month in New Mexico.
That's right.
So that was pretty much my first year in the U.S. here. And I was lucky to see what is all about there. You know, all those bigger cities, a big opportunity, but bigger distractions
California
too.
as well, right?
Yeah, California is also bigger cities, big distractions too. You know, and as a fresh black belt, wanted to be a world champion. You know, deep inside, I felt that in New Mexico it would be the only place that offered me a job, it offered me a direction as far as visa. You know, and that's when I started listening. You know, my cousin was living here. I said, man, follow what your paper goes. I don't care where you go in the country, wherever you go. You know, that was one of the advice I got from my cousin. Juniors, you know, he's living here for several years.
In Massachusetts?
Massachusetts, you know he has business of granites, you know, like there. He's well established. But he said, man, you need to go and follow what is the papers is because it's so important over
Follow
here.
steps,
so,
yeah.
Yeah. So, and you offered me that.
Well, I said we did the extension, right? And then I was like, well, it gives you some time, like 3 months, to travel around to see, you know, hey, what you want to do, right? And then you're like, you know what? I want to come back to New Mexico. I was like, all right, you know. So we were just saying that downstairs. I was like, you know,
you offer me the job and say, hey, thinking about it. You never pressure me. That's what the thing. Say, hey, go back to Atlanta, do your thing. You know, that's when I went to Boston.
Boston, yeah. You traveled
so
around.
I travel a little bit, and then we had this conversation. American National. After the American National, we had a little dinner. I don't remember everything because that was
It was a
very
big deal
important.
for you, yeah,
It was a
your
big
life.
important decision in my life. And then I said, okay, September it was the American National that I decided, say, I'm going. And then we set up to go on the following months. Okay, so I will get you there. So we went to Santa Fe to live with you, me and
my
Romulo.
house, yeah.
Me and Romulo with you and Edith there, you know. And that was the beginning of everything, you know. The class, I signed up for the class and I started learning. That's where I was, you know. It's bigger. I think bigger impact that did to me there. All those traveling Santa Fe, Albuquerque, which takes an hour.
Yeah.
But it was all mentorship, and I never realized.
I would drive you. I would have talked to you. Yeah,
we were talking. I'm sure you wanted to practice your Portuguese, but you were talking to Portuguese and they'll say, I have a Brazilian over here, so you always wanted to keep your Portuguese on point, you know.
Yeah.
And then, but the conversation was you speaking Portuguese, but you would give me directions, you know. That's the lessons I learned from you all. I'm not here to, you know, to sugarcoat anything. That was straightforward there. A lot of the leadership you had to me, the mentorship you gave it to me, and that's what made who I am today too. So the reason I'm here today making that happen too, because I feel like I owe it to that to tell people this our story in there, and that's not by luck, by that was listening to good advices, you know, to go and stay on lane, stay on the right track, you know.
Yeah.
I'm thankful for that for sure.
Yeah. You started teaching in Albuquerque, right?
And that's
when
when
plugged you into the Albuquerque gym.
Yeah, we were living in Santa Fe, and then we were driving to Albuquerque for the afternoon sessions in there.
I was showing you the Ultimate Fighter, whatever things, not posters, the plaques, you know, that they made for the training center, right, downstairs.
Yeah, with the jerseys, yes.
With the jerseys, yeah. And the first one came out in 2005. 2005. I know that because we started, I think, the Albuquerque school in 2005. And yeah, we did like an ad. Like Lord Irvin told, he's like, yeah, I'm doing this ad during the Ultimate Fighter because it was new. We didn't know, nobody knew how it was going to be, what kind of impact it was going to have. But anybody that was in like a UFC or Jiu-Jitsu, that exact demographic, everybody watched that show. Remember, it was like Spike TV days.
Yes. Diego Sanchez won that one, right?
Diego Sanchez,
the number one, yes.
Kenny Florian, and then Stephen Bonner and
Griffin.
Griffin, yeah, that was the change the game, right?
Yes.
And, I mean, we're all here, we're all doing well, probably because of that finale, right?
For sure.
The thing blew
exposed up. The martial arts in general, no, but specifically, the Jiu-Jitsu definitely gets a big impact from there too. You know, still nowadays, you see.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, UFC BJJ is how crazy that
That's
is.
cool, huh? That's cool.
Yeah,
We'll talk about that.
I'm all for it, yes.
Yeah, it's cool. But that was a different time back in those days. 2000, it was kind of still underground, right? And then once the Spike TV, the Ultimate Fighter came on, it blew up.
They didn't know. No one knew it was gonna be, the direction, But it's how things goes.
Yeah.
You gotta believe it and give it a shot and see what happens.
Yeah. And so you have your brother now in New Mexico as well.
He actually went back to Brazil, so he spent 5-6 years in there.
In Rio Rancho.
Yeah, Rio Rancho, and he ended up getting married. He had a kid, and then both were Brazilian.
I gotta catch up. We're catching up. You gotta tell me all the new stuff. What happened? You're here in Orange County. You have the gym. Is it Piano's original gym?
Piano's original gym. There I kind of helped
Santa Ana.
Santa Ana.
Gracie Barra Santa Ana.
Yeah, Gracie Barra Santa Ana. I've been there since 2013. I got involved with that. And but
back in the day, like Rampage and all the guys, right?
Rampage, yes.
We're coming through.
Yes, we trained there. We jumped.
You trained, helped them train
Rampage,
too.
Che Congo too, and all that.
Che Congo, yeah.
Yeah, Michael Bisping that too. And we got some rounds that too. So yeah, that's where the beginning of everything, But yeah, I'm still in Albuquerque, going time to time. Well, at least once a month I go there.
Yeah.
Every other week, because we have now 5 gyms. I don't know if you know that. So we just got Tijeras. Behind the mountains.
Behind the mountains.
Yeah.
Oh wow. Okay.
Behind the mountains, that was their 5th location, which is I think a lot of the students that live behind the mountains, it's hard for them to make it to the city in Albuquerque. So we ended up actually taking over from one of the gyms. It used to be G13, so it was already established.
Okay.
We just
switched the name.
Switched the name and then used the students.
Cool.
It's been since March.
Okay.
So right now we
so you have the original location, the northeast,
headquarters
right?
in New Mexico that we call there.
West
the second
side.
location was Gracie Barra West Side, on the west side of town.
Yeah.
And then we went to Rio Rancho, which is the city near
your brother ran for many years, right?
Yes, Gracie Barra Rio Rancho. And Gracie Barra Albuquerque, we call, which is on the heights by the mountains.
Heights, okay.
And then Tijeras in there.
Tijeras.
And Santa Ana. So, wow, look at the six gyms managing there. Obviously, we have a partnership, Professor Don, which is your student. There he started everything there in Albuquerque. That he's a huge help in him, his wife, and the rest of their staff team. That helps me to have the life that I've been living right now.
Yeah.
With a strong team, we can do that.
Yeah. So what's we talk about you're out here now, Dad. I think we saw each other at one of the tournaments. Was it the Worlds?
The Worlds, yeah.
And then we're like, oh, hey, Tussa, hey. We just happened to sit next to each other, right?
Yes. That's what we say, hey, let's do podcast. Let's do a podcast. Definitely let's get it.
We started talking, right? Like, we got to do a podcast.
Yeah, because I think the relationships, sometimes doesn't need to be, I have friends that we talking every day, but when you see each other, it looks like we never actually stay apart. And I think that's the real about relationships, So it's for real, the time you break this, and that's how I feel in there,
Yeah, you were 25. First time in the U.S., like different era. And now you're like dad. Family, businessman. Yes. So tell me, like, what's new? Like, your brother's back in Brazil.
My brother's back in Brazil, so I'm still involved there. I did quite a bit training with the MMA fighters, and I spent literally since 2011, pretty much. It's been quite a bit. Over a decade, working with MMA, as a coach. And
how did that happen with Greg Jackson, where you started working with the fighters?
Everything worked organically. Once I was focused a lot on my career as a black belt competitor, So I was never much. I didn't have time for distraction. I was focused on myself pretty much.
Sports jiu-jitsu.
Yeah,
like, yeah.
training myself.
And they were
running
always
school.
MMA. It was very like, you do this, I do that.
Exactly. And I think it was a black belt. Igor Araújo is the one actually connected. Was the bridge.
Oh, okay.
Igor Araújo is a Gracie Barra black belt. That he live in Switzerland. So he came to train at Jackson's, and he knew me from tournaments there. I said, man, he was training while in Albuquerque, he was training with us.
That's right.
And I said, man, you guys, that's what he's Jackson and Wink. There's a
You guys are wasting time, right?
Expert in there. You guys need to be talking there. And then Michael Winklejohn, started taking private with me in jiu-jitsu privates. He was teaching me.
Mike Winklejohn, yeah.
And he was teaching. They had the striking coach, head coach of Jackson Wink. So actually was exchanging. He was teaching me kickboxing and he was learning jiu-jitsu. But I realized that he didn't want to learn jiu-jitsu. He want to bring me into the team. And he was even considered to throw me in a smokes fight in there. I was like, yeah, maybe I
Smokers?
can. Yeah, smokers, just to go in test it to see if I had it. Because the intention, I even was considering entertaining to get into fights in there. And that's where the
What made you not want to go that
I will
route?
get there. That's what happened. So I started getting there and be considering and say, hey, in jiu-jitsu, and when I fight with pro fighters, I kind of do it well there. If I adjust my striking, I do have a little bit of wrestling, and I think I can make this here. I started kind of believing there, and then I got invited to be a coach of the Ultimate Fighter Nation, which is Australia versus Canada. So it was two nations competing against each other. So I did one of the editions like that, and that was back in 2013. So that's when I really see what it actually takes there behind the scene. How much the fighter's making, what it takes after the fight, what happened before the fight, weight cuts,
It was a little bit better in 2013, but still, come on,
Yeah, and after the fight, they get all cut up in there, and they get a little smaller check, and I was like, hey, there's nothing in there. My instinct kicks in there, It's like, what are you going to do with that if you get injured? It started kind of being a lot of questions in there. So my gut feeling was telling me, stick with the jiu-jitsu what you know, pursuing the open schools, in the city, you should be better off with that, And so
be a jiu-jitsu coach for the fighters.
And that's when I see that, hey, maybe I can make some money too by coaching there and also entertaining to being involved with MMA. I'm a fan of MMA, like all of us are, yeah. But be behind the scene and be involved in that, so it's just a plus. So if I can just without fighting get into the uncertainty if you're gonna make it or not.
Yeah.
And I was actually 30 plus years old, 32, 33. So I started to realize that, hey, I'm kind of on I either make a decision right now. So
you can still train with the good guys, right?
Yeah. So that's what I said. That hey, stick with what you know, what you're laying in there, and that's kind of what I decided to do.
What were some of the guys back in 2013 that you started to train?
Right off the bat was Alistair Overeem.
Wow, yeah.
Yeah, so was my very first athlete that I worked with. Kyle Noke was Australia. He's the one who brought me to the Ultimate Fighter. But was Alistair Overeem, Kyle Noke, and Holly Holm. So we prepared her for Ronda. When she got a fight with Ronda, Winkle Joe say, hey, I need an expert in BJJ. So
I was just telling somebody like the story, because I've I've known Greg and Wink since before they back in the day, right? Back in the day. And I know once Holly decided to fight MMA, like the goal was always to fight Ronda Rousey, and then everything was lined up where, she had just Ronda had just knocked out the Brazilian girl. What's her name?
Betty Correia.
Yeah. And so she was like very confident in her striking abilities. And it's like, man, you're fighting Holly Holm, like do what you do best, right? And I know Greg with his game planning tactics, Winklejohn as well,
I'm probably gonna let it go here. Maybe I get myself in trouble, but I would tell this thing. It's just a podcast. We need to bring some attention. But I do remember they anticipated that fight. So Holly Holm and Ronda Rousey not supposed to be fighting on that time,
right?
Because they saw Holly was developing, learning, and say, hey, let's get this girl a world champion boxer. Before she gets better in jiu-jitsu and in grappling overall, let's get her out of the way sooner than later, because the more she's developing there,
for
more
Ronda, yeah.
For Ronda, so they're anticipating there, and then they schedule the fight, and someone got injured, I don't remember what it was, so they even anticipated even shorter. So Holly had a really short camp, it was not 8 weeks, 12 weeks, which is ideal
for the Ronda fight.
For the Ronda fight, so it was anticipated.
Oh wow! Because I wasn't in the mix. I'm just assuming.
I'm bringing that because I heard
assuming, And so I don't know. I wasn't on that side. I was on this side, right? I knew Ronda being here, but I knew the fight things, and then also it being in Australia. Even it's like the kind of reminds me like the Mike Tyson, Buster Douglas, right? Except Holly Holm has been here for years. You know, world champion. You know, boxing world champ, but kickboxing. Come on, you know.
Yeah, and it's so 8, 12 weeks camp turns into the 5, 6 weeks camp, and then that's when we just invest a lot of time on the ground. I learned how to skate for arm bar by work with her. Because I started studying all the different variations, you know, how the ways to do it, put myself into the scenario to see what I could figure it out on my own, what makes sense to my head. So definitely helped me as being a coach, but as a student to learn the proper
I
way
just
to
know
skate.
I just know that Holly Holm had the best camp she could have, like not camp, but the best like team corner. I feel like the best corner that you could have, especially in that time in MMA.
For sure, the training as well.
Between
too,
you,
like
that, and then also the matchup, right? Because you're a jiu-jitsu specialist, and she was a striking, right?
yes,
Specialist.
and as well
The
the
best
training
in the
partners
game.
too. Like I think the biggest thing our gym has is the bodies. You know, the difference of styles in there. You know, and having our jiu-jitsu students and MMA students to help her. You know, specific for on a fight. I think that's what makes you the fighters a champion. That you know the people behind them. You know. Coaches especially, but also training partners, you know, and family as well. So when everything is aligned there, yeah.
So go back. You said 5 to 6 week training camp, and then what else? What else?
And so we did that, you know, and we didn't end up traveling with her, so I did not coaching her for that fight. But it was awesome to see how everything we were being playing on it, you know. She was able to do it, when to pull the arms out, the confidence there, because that's what you need sometimes. Just give them the confidence that if you get on the ground, they're gonna be okay. So that way they can like go their hands in there. So that's kind of the idea that we working a lot on it. And that's our relationship started from there on, you know. And obviously she stopped competing MMA. She's turned into the boxing there. So our relationship as a coach in there has to be ending there, but we still catch up in there. We become friends for sure, you know. And there was Holly Holm, Kyle Noak, Alex Overeem, and the champion John Bones Jones. You know, this is my boy. There, we've been working there for several years.
Brought him to the graduations, puts the gi on.
You got him to grab the gi. Yeah, he's still a purple belt, but he's only a virgin. I'm about to give him his brown belt because he's been developed. He's learned for a lot from Gordon Ryan on the past 2 camps.
Yeah.
So he loves jiu-jitsu. He's a grappler, you know. He's a wrestler, but he's a grappler. But he's always liked it.
Student of the game.
Yeah,
always.
And I'm not even giving them the tough time there because all the MMA across the board, the MMA fighters, they hate the gi, you know. But I say, hey, if you want to progress in belts, you know, at least I need the minimum of a train, you know, take some private lesson, we're off camps, we train with the gi. And that way he's been doing it.
Nice.
You know, I just saw him last week, too. He says that, like, I need to go back to the grappling, you know, because I think he's going to fight, you know. He's motivated to fight.
On the White House card.
That's why I woke up the Dragon again, you know. The Dragon was sleeping. When they put it in White House, everybody
talking smack, right?
Yeah, he's a patriot. You know, he loves the U.S., you know, and that's the reason he decided to get off of retirement after 13 days.
13 days. Man, you know, you watched him for so many years, like just like pretty much killing all these black belts, right? Submitting black belts, right? In the UFC. And then you see him putting on a white belt, right? And getting blue belts and stuff. What do you say to people like, oh, he's people talking smack? What do you have to say to that?
And I see that people talk smack regardless if I go left and right. So I have to stick with my gut, my instinct, and my beliefs. You know, meaning that you need to develop your skills per se. Jiu-jitsu belts means not only about skill level, about how you live your life as well. So
culture. The
culture, you know, the benefits jiu-jitsu give to individual, you know, and that's what I want him to. I tell John, you need to write a story. You're from white to black belt. There's a story that you can tell about it. What happens? What belts did you win? What kind of submissions you learn? People that you met throughout this. It's all about the jiu-jitsu. What jiu-jitsu taught you, you know, to make you a better person. And that's why I wanted them to. I think he understood this time. So everyone needs to go. We could have given him a black belt, and people were like, yeah, he deserves. He's the champion there. But a lot of people, what about the principle of the martial arts? But I couldn't never care about what people would have to tell. I have to stick with my, not get influenced by outsiders, you know.
That's what I feel too. Like the culture, like the way, right? The way of life, right? Of jiu-jitsu, Brazilian jiu-jitsu. And like, cause sometimes the guys are so good, they're so athletic, they're super athletes, right? and they're getting the black belts because they won whatever. They won a
Tough,
UFC
because I
title.
cannot tap him because a lot of nothing against everybody had their own reason to do their own perspective that you on my table
but
on
for
my
you,
gym.
and I might as well,
For I
agree with
believe
that,
in there, say hey, I respect all the decisions in there. He probably could have carried his black belt, fine, if he goes on the mats. That what I want from him, it is what jiu-jitsu can benefit him throughout this time as he's been learning.
Yeah, because part of it is like you get your black belt like that, like it doesn't mean anything.
You don't get the philosophy if you just get your black belt right off the bat by not putting the
By
time
being tough,
in there.
yeah.
Training with the others, help while others grow as well. With what jiu-jitsu gives to that. That's why I am stick with that, not Professor Tussa is tough when he holds people on the belts. No. I have the standards come from my organization, Gracie Barra, my family, my master, and what I believe that jiu-jitsu can do to individual, doesn't matter what your background it is,
Yeah. Speaking of the black belt, do you remember when you got your black belts?
Yes, I cannot forget it. No one
Okay.
forgets.
So tell me about it. How was it like?
April 10th, 2006, Lake Forest, the old Gracie Barra headquarters.
Small little warehouse.
Warehouse, far away. It's very hard to find it, but that was the dream begins in there. I was not expected to get a black belt, so I competed as a brown belt on Pan Am's.
Yeah.
And I ended up got second place on the absolute. So I lost in the final like a couple points. But anyways, Professor Fabio was the one nominated me to get black belt on the Carlos Gracie Jr. So he was my instructor. The one actually brought me to US. But he did it like secretly, say, hey, I think it's time to promote. So I was there just for a regular training session after the Pan Am's. And then that when I was presented to the black belt. And it was a great surprise for me, and that's when even made sure that that's the place I wanted to be here. I graduate here in college, College of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. I got my diploma, being a black belt in there. And with everything that I was feeling on that time that I got in here, it made it totally sense to stay here. That's
the Master Carlos blessed you with the sword, right?
Right.
That united you here in the U.S.
And I was just pretty much, I was not drop out yet, but literally from that point on, I was a dropout of college. So I left the 4 years of college that I completed it. My last year, I had to freeze my college to come here.
Trancou.
To US, tranquei, yeah. And then I just left behind everything, And
What did your parents think?
As of right now, they
now it's good, right?
But back in the day, they would call me crazy. Like, why do you come back and just finish your college? Like get your degree. This is your backup plan, your plan B. If jiu-jitsu doesn't work for you, at least you have a degree that you can pursue your career in there. But I did decide that there's no way back, Mom. I will stay here, legal or illegal.
What did you say to your dad?
My dad was my biggest supporter over there.
Okay.
My dad was kind of like, you need to get out of the house. He helped me sell my motorcycle because I did sell my motorcycle, 125 cc. It's not a big motorcycle. It's a cross bike. Dirt bike. So I sold that to pay for the hotels, or airlines there. But we didn't have that much money in there, And when I got here, it was $600, but with a black belt on my waist, and great mentors, I think that's why it helped me to make it through,
Get through, yeah. Another thing too, right, is like you're the Brasilia, right? You guys had like a kind of a brotherhood, right? Fabio, Danji, right?
Yes, it's the Gracie Barra Brasilia, the capital where we're from, Professor Fabio Costa, Alexandre Danji, both they are here, so there was those mentors too that
Danji's where now, in Texas?
Danji's in Texas, Austin, Texas, with 4 gyms opening there. Professor Fabio has 3 gyms in Atlanta. I could tell we are the pioneers from Gracie Barra to come over here and stay. We came over here right in 2006. And Gracie Barra was opened in 2005 here, the headquarters.
Yeah.
So we were right on the verge.
You guys are soldiers. You guys followed the steps. They told you to do something. You listened. A lot of guys were rebelling, right?
Yes, and that is the thing that I see nowadays. We never took for granted being outside of Rio de Janeiro. Being in Brasilia. We always want to be a part of Gracie Barra. We wanted to be recognized. Wanted to Master Carlos Gracie Jr. kind of giving us attention, or know us by the name. And we never had that. So when we finally got here in the U.S., so we were so stoked, we want to stay around them, and then we never left, we were still there.
Yeah. When you go back to Brazil, how is it?
Yeah, Brazil finally they kind of step up a little bit there, but the very first years there, I felt they were still on the old mentality, and I was fighting guys. There's a better ways to run jiu-jitsu school. There's a better way to accommodate the and spread the jiu-jitsu to a community. You know, it's not only tough guys in there. You know, but going back to Brazil, it is different. It is a place that I love. This is my country, you know, where I born, but I could not see myself living there unless I really need it. In there, I adapt so much here in the U.S. that
it's changed so much, right? It's changed so much from back in our days, right? The 90s, 2000s, right? Early 2000s to now, right? Now it's like people run professional schools.
Yeah, I think
they're doing better and better.
U.S. is led that way,
right?
You know, see the professionalism of jiu-jitsu. You know, it can make you make a living out of it. You know, it can help you to make a living out of jiu-jitsu, which back then it was not possible.
Yeah, like Master Carlos Gracie Jr. right at the beginning, right? He was like, man, he has that vision, right? He wants to like be able to give a life, like a way, be able to give opportunity to the black belts to have to be able to live from jiu-jitsu. But the way it was like Fight Club, right? Exactly. And Marcia Feitosa, like everybody was kind of like trying to figure it out, right?
I think that was the concern. I said, why you dedicated? I heard this from Master Carlos Gracie Jr.'s mouth. He said, I was thinking about all my competitors. They dedicate their lives training jiu-jitsu so much. They do not dedicate their lives learning some different skills. All they don't know what to do is how to train hard, how to teach class, because they master the techniques. So what they would do if you will not change this scenario, you know, and try to spread it there and have them to go and conquer the world through jiu-jitsu, they will not have my competitors, my black belts, my students that I care so much, after they're done competing, when they get in a certain age, they're going to be too old to start a new career in there. So I need to find a way for them. The only way it is spreading jiu-jitsu, you know.
Yeah.
And
I mean, for myself, right, I was trying to figure it out too, right? I was like, I wanted to keep doing jiu-jitsu. I love jiu-jitsu more than anything, but like the way it wasn't sustainable for me to have a family, for me to be able to continue to do it, right? And so I started to study, right? And one of my mentors was Amal Easton, right? In Colorado. And we went to some karate, business meetings and things like that. And one of the guy running the seminar, whatever, he was like, who's done 5,000 hours of technical training? Like, you know, the martial arts training, 5,000 hours of training in the martial arts. Everybody raised their hand, right? And then who's done 5,000 hours of sales and marketing training? And only the fat karate guys and Lord Irvin raised their hands in the front, you know? I was like, okay, that was a wake up call for me. I was like, okay, I gotta invest. I gotta put 5,000 hours at least in that kind of thing. So I started to study business, right?
I do remember that you started all of a sudden you started showing up with the suits in there, like with the jackets. Like, hey, what's going on?
Because some of the seminars, they made you dress up, right?
Yeah, they say, what's going on? We're going to a wedding or something, you know, for me to wear like a suit or something.
Did I take you to some?
No,
some
I think you took Dawn. I think
Dawn, yeah.
I couldn't understand anything. I was fresh for the boat, you know. It's like my English was very limited.
And so Dawn took over the Albuquerque school, and Thomas Pless took over the Santa Fe school.
Yes.
And then I had talked to you. I remember we were at a gas station, I think.
That's all the other big advice.
That was another moment, right? I remember too, because it was like a big deal. I was like, man, what do I do? Because I wanted to set up Dawn for success too, right? But you were a key part of the organization, key part of Albuquerque, right? And I was like, hey Dawn, hey Tussa, like I'm gonna be moving because I knew once I would have my son, I would be probably moving to Los Angeles, right? And then you couldn't believe it. You're like, what? What are you talking about? And I was like, what I tell you is, I said, like, man, please, after I leave, stay for like a year.
Yeah, and then you can do whatever you want there. But I believe that you and Don can do great things over here. And I don't remember the exact words.
I saw the vision.
You guys can do big things here in Albuquerque. You can open multiple schools in different sides of the town in there, you know. And it's like, all right, I'm down for it. You know, let's see what's happening.
I remember Don calling me after the year. He's like, so Tussa just talked to me, you know.
What did he say?
You know, I remember, like, he was kind of like, I think he was just scared, right? But it's like, what do you expect? You know, like, people need to grow, right? And so what do you expect? And he, you know, like, you're such a great guy. You know what I mean? Like, you're not going to, you know, do anything like to hurt him or anything, right? So you work together, figure it out, right?
Yeah, and I think the conversation was that I said, hey, I will really need to stay here for a lifetime. You know, we can build something here. But I don't want to be 100% owner. I want to be 51. Let's be 50-50, man. I wanted to have ownership here so that way I can stay there. I can build something for my family, for my legacy.
Yeah.
But I promise you, everything we do together with here, I'm not going to betray you there and start, okay, now I don't need you, and then I'm going to open multiple schools and leave you behind. Anything that we're doing over here in New Mexico, we're going to be doing together.
Not to give a generalist thing on Brazilians coming here and doing those kinds of things, but that was one of the differences that I saw in you when I first met you. You know, you were different. Like you were a team player. You know, always a team player, and you were like a good person.
Yes, any country, you know, any society that is different people.
Of course. Yes, you know, just saying people like
exactly. You don't have to be bringing that. Some people has different mentality, you know, different ways of thinking. You know, later
but
on
there's so many Brazilian jiu-jitsu
yes.
guys come and they're Brazilian did this or whatever. And it's like, it depends on the person, right?
My own people,
like anything else?
People betrayed me there.
Of course.
So this is Jiu-Jitsu world, guys. Yeah, this is not there, but
that's a good point. The Brazilians, that's it, you know?
Yeah,
that's who the person is.
Yeah, and then definitely I signed he made me sign a contract there. So I understand contracts and I think is important there, but my word is worth more than this freaking paper over here. I probably still have that. But I don't know what is our agreement it is in there. But I say, hey, I believe that you're gonna whatever that we decide over here, you're gonna be fine. You know, I was confident with that.
Yeah, I think it was when we went to Vegas, right? We went to Vegas. Remember we booked or Ray had Greyhound buses.
Yeah,
those big buses that it could fit how many people? Like a lot, right?
It was 30, like 60 people that we got to chew them.
Yeah. And we brought a whole team to Vegas, right, for Grappler's Quest. And I think that was the
Jesse,
trip.
Fred, and all
and all the guys who ended up becoming black belts in Albuquerque, right?
That was my first
Tammy, you know.
My first belt for Grappler's Fest they did over there in Vegas, you know. I won my first belt. I was like, dang, this is fun, you know. And then that was a good. I think it was a great trip. That's how we would do in Brazil. From Brasilia, you know, we were getting a bus, you know, smaller bus, of course.
Yeah. But not all. It was the whole team, right? It was it was just us. It was our bus.
Yes, and that was kind of fun.
I still have the pictures somewhere.
Yeah,
from that event.
And that's the thing when we do this competition, we are so active in competing. Me and Romulo there, I can count myself that we almost every weekend we are traveling to compete.
Yeah.
If I count that from March that I got here and I compete the Pan Ams all the way to December was 16 tournaments that I competed in.
Yeah.
So just in a period of like 8 months, it was pretty much 2 tournaments per month. So that's I feel that I kind of was able to build. There's still nowadays some YouTube videos, you know, they're doing fly triangles and all over the place. The little they know I was doing fly triangles on wrestlers and blue belts because they all mix everything.
How did
together.
your flying triangle begin?
I was in Brazil. I was learning from somebody, Mateus Maia.
They get the single leg, right? The single leg, and then
single leg.
Like wrestlers would try to take you down to grab that single leg.
Okay. Then you use that and you jump over the shoulder. And there's a little bit of a technique that you kind of grapevine your leg on his leg so that we can climb up and then jump it over so he's not going straight down. We climb, sit on top of the shoulder. That kind of makes even more impact, you know.
It's even higher,
when you
right?
go higher in there. Yeah. So it's a way to climb up in there, you know. So that I end up developing a little bit on there. And I hit a few of them in tournaments, you know. Nowadays, I'm 44 now, but I don't want to break my back. So I'm kind of just going more to firefly triangle from the ground. It's safer, you know, but... I have
that was an
era.
That was an era, yeah.
Yeah, I have some highlights of the flight training.
And then we did when we did your work visa, right? We applied for your work visa, which was like it was kind of crazy, right? And
that was the other advice they gave me there because when they say, yeah, it's gonna be costing $1,600, I say I don't have this money there, you know. This is like, hey, don't worry, you can make a lot more money here in the US if you do the right things here. So invest right now. We can do payments, and then you actually offer to do payments and then discount from my salary. You know, so definitely you knew what you're doing. You know, you've seen that before. You know, and one thing I take credit to myself, that I listen to advice of others, my cousins. You know, your advice. They said, hey, you should not go illegal. We can do things legally here. You know, we just have to pay the price, and
everything has consequences, right? If you make bad choices or
later on, I was this. You know, I was glad that I listened.
I just have a memory, right? Because you didn't have a lot of accomplishments at the time we applied for the visa, right? You just got your black belt. You didn't have like a big old resume, and we were applying for the O1, right? The special ability visa, right? and we did that. What was it? The professional submission league. The Rico Chaparelli.
Yes.
thing had like
LA Sub X. That was the name.
LA Sub X.
Yeah, LA Sub X. Randy Couture fought with Jacare. Marcelo Garcia fought Jake Shields. I fought Rafael Lovato. So that was one of the big show that I ended up joining.
But we submitted literally down to the second, like the last minute, all the things that you had done. And I remember tearing out the magazine of that ad with your name on it, and we're submitting it to the attorney. And then you almost got the approval like pretty fast.
Yes.
And I just remember like, oh, we got it, like, because you weren't sure, right?
Yeah,
because that was a risk, right? I'm telling you, hey, just try to do this, and then you put you put yourself out there, and that doesn't work out, right? You spend all this money, right?
So you were on the spot too, like, man, I don't want to.
I don't want to let you down, right?
Yeah.
Like I was telling you things, but you don't know because it's not us, right? It's not me. It's making the decision. But I learned some things too, like there's like different offices in the U.S., right, that approves or disapproves, right?
Yes.
And the one for New Mexico is a little bit better than the one maybe for California.
Yes, less applicants. That even happened with my green card. Richard, our lawyer that took care of everything. There's a big name on the immigration law here.
Yeah, if you see his name, Richard O'Reilly, yeah. And, shout out to him.
He's just like, hey, I don't think it is your green card. I say, no, my green card came here. I'm ready to go to Brazil. I say, no, send a picture of it. And then he's like, oh, congratulations. Your green card came faster than Master Carlos Gracie Jr. I was like, wow, but it is because of the region.
So I learned too, right, doing yours, like, oh, wow, you can actually also, we used like we use New Mexico addresses now. But for the different people, just because it's a different office, right? And it's much easier.
Yes, that's I noticed that too when I got my green card, for sure.
Because it was working with you and doing what we did then. So
it was fairly fast. To be honest, the process, the way I see it, like when I bring some other Brazilians in here, so how long it takes for them, that too, But
that was so cool. That was so. I just remember being proud. I was like, man, because we literally like got all your stuff together, all your accomplishments. Because like you were, like I said, you just got your black belt. You were, barely like got your black belt, and then we got all the things together. And one of the last things was that the professional submission league.
Yes.
With your name on it, had our because I competed on it as well, right, that night. Didn't I? Yeah, I competed on that too. And so we put your, because I had your name on it, into the pile of stuff, and then boom, got approved.
Yeah, I mean, about he beat me on that one there because they would get like 3 points per submission attempted. He had like two submission attempted, or he got like 6 points or something like that. It was a good fight. I was. He got the best of me there all the time, but we had a great.
It was
battles.
Like the beginning of different types of rule settings, right? Like they had the Gracie Worlds, they had the Eddie Bravo, right? The Invitational, the EBIs, and different rule sets of submission-only tournaments, right?
Submission only, one of the goals is to submit, so you get points for a submission.
The mission is submission.
Yeah, the mission is the submission.
Because that was the X-Mission, right? Was the name of the event.
And now they brought back the super fight now, BJJ. If they would continue.
Now they have the UFC BJJ.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on UFC BJJ?
I think it's great, man. I think it is even more exposure, I have to give a shout out to Gordon Ryan. A lot of people were hating on me here, but man, he definitely brought the attention to Jiu-Jitsu, worldwide. And that I think is one of the biggest connections that happens, to open the eyes of Dana White. Obviously, Dana White knows Jiu-Jitsu, get exposed to Jiu-Jitsu, but to put the trigger to see, have like the attention, hey, I think we can get something out of it. I think it's just the beginning. We will grow as you see the sport grows on its own. When it goes to professional side, which I think is about time to happen. It just helps all the organization. It's not a competition. They're going to take fighters in there. No, I think that supports the WJJF because people wanted to be exposed to WJJF to get named to go to those big events in that too. So I think everyone grows.
It's another way, right? Another avenue for people to pursue.
It's a professional organization that knows what they're doing. They can market us very well. Which are they doing?
Yeah. Back in the '90s, early 2000s, there was like almost no events like super like where you could make money. And then like mid 2000s, there was more like the Grapplers Quest started to do like
Absolute,
events.
$1,000 if you win the absolute. Yeah, I got a super fight in Dallas, you know, but it was a little bit later on. You know, I fought Bruno Bastos, but they were getting $2,000 for the champion. I was like, wow,
That's huge, yeah.
Yeah, that would start being like there, but that was like already a big name. But I multiple times world champion. Bruno Bastos has his name too, so it was like and it was organized there.
Yeah.
But this happened like I make money with jiu-jitsu 3 or 4 times competing.
Yeah. How did you start jiu-jitsu back in Brasilia?
Ken Jamano, we always mention him. He's a Japanese family, you know, who's got a lot of influence, martial arts and influences there. So he was watching a lot of...
in Brasilia?
Yeah, in Brasilia, UFC. So UFC 91, you know. So I started in jiu-jitsu in 1995. I started a little bit early on the streets, you know, with my friends. They're doing headlocks, thinking I'm doing jiu-jitsu, you know, just squeezing each other's head.
Yeah.
You know, pretend I'm being Royce Gracie in there. And... Purple belt started opening a school. We started teaching each other. In Brazil, it's very common inside a workout gym with the weights. There is a little room, and you can just rent that room and then start your jiu-jitsu. So that's how a lot of these jiu-jitsu schools started in Brazil. So it was never just one
Brasilia,
building.
Right?
Yeah, in Brasilia. So that's what ended up happening there. The jiu-jitsu arrived in there. So right next to my neighborhood in there, so my house. So I went there I was 14 years old. And I started training with the adults, and there was never kids programs in Brazil until later on.
Yeah.
People used to see jiu-jitsu in Brazil as the thugs guys, because the guys was doing jiu-jitsu, fighting on the streets, has pit bulls, you know, and tattoos, and all there, you know.
That was like the 90s, yeah.
Yeah, back in the day. So they have misconception what is a jiu-jitsu martial artist it is, you know. So, but anyways, I ended up getting there, and on this class, it's kind of crazy. Because I was 14 years old, and then it was a mixed class, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. He's a Gabriel Ramos, he was my instructor. And he was doing on some other days MMA. Back in the days, he was getting into the MMA. So they was doing a little bit open hands, you know, like, Jiu-Jitsu with open hands slaps in there.
Yeah.
And my mom went to watch me one day. It's like, hey, let me see my son doing Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu self-defense. And then she got into that class that was like slapping each other in the face. So she made sure that I would not do that. So if I had just participated in jiu-jitsu. So my mom right away, like, I don't want violence. I want you out of there. You know, the little she know, if I would continue, probably could be a champion there. But anyways, I think that doing jiu-jitsu, starting jiu-jitsu only, doing there as 14 years old, that definitely built me. My character, you know, made who I am. You know, I'm turning 30 years practicing jiu-jitsu, you know, because I turned 44 this year. So yeah, it's a big celebration.
That's crazy, huh?
5th degree black belt, you know, just happened last week with Master Carlos Chris Jr. You know, man, I'm on top of the world. You know, I feel great. You know, no regrets for any decision that I made in the past. You know, it's good to be on this spot here with no regrets. You know,
it feels good, right? To choose like this path, right?
I would do it again. Like, hey, will you go do everything again? I would probably do everything again.
It worked out, right? It worked out with the way the world was, the UFC, just everything, right?
And I was able to taste it and everything. I got to travel the world through the fight, especially Alistair Overeem. He's this Dutch guy, you know, and he likes to travel, you know, South Asia. You know, he took me to Thailand, Bali, Abu Dhabi, Dubai, all those kind of nicer places, you know, and go with the bigger names like that. So I got to enjoy a little bit of the world and all the perks working with the fighters in there they can give to you. It's a lot of work, though. It's a full-time job, right? Full-time job. That's one thing I had to step away from it, because when my kids came in, and I had to make a decision: are you going to continue to focus on your career and then continue to dedicate it to that, or
ignore your kids?
Take care of the kids. So they are my new champions, my future champions that I'm coaching and training them there. So I still work with fighters, but the fighter that are not a fighter right now is a fighter for life. You know, with just my kids.
Yeah.
My son.
How old are your kids now?
Yeah, my Kyle is 5, and then Isabella is a year and a half. You know, a little bit over a year and a half. Yeah.
God bless, man.
Thanks.
Yeah. Amazing.
Thank you, brother. Yeah.
Tussa. What does Tussa mean?
Tussa is a nickname.
Tussa Alencar.
Everybody in Brazil got a nickname in there. You know, whether it's something that you don't like about it or something that you like about it there. But Tussa is come from dentuça, which is buck teeth. So
buck teeth.
Buck teeth. Yes. So when I was growing, you know, I had a big teeth in there. Right now, I think I grew into it. You know. But they would call me dentuça, you know. I never liked that, you know. I was fighting my friends, and then dentuça is like Tussa, and that's what I was.
Now the whole world calls you Tussa.
Yes, I don't like it.
What about the fighters?
I used to hate it, but right now, yeah, they call Tussa, Tuss. Don't call me Tuss. Yeah. And yeah, the fighters call me Tussa, Greg Jackson, Professor Tussa, but that's what became my name, my middle name, I would say,
Yeah, I just call you Tusa. Hey, Tusa. I
Yeah.
love saying Tusa.
Yeah, I used to not like it. I used to fight my friends, but a long time ago, I just got over with it. It became my.
Once you grew into the teeth, then it was okay.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, when I started to be more confident on myself, you should start kicking in there. It's like, hey, you can call me whatever names. This is not gonna bother me.
Yeah, yeah. You had mentioned Gordon Ryan, and I got, I just got stem cells again last week at the CPI, and maybe 3 years ago I did it with like Mo, right? Mo was there, the ADCC promoter, and so he was telling me, oh, you got to go to the next ADCC. I'm pulling all the stops, right? The Bruce Buffer, the Pride announcer, everything, right? And so I know how much effort, how much work, how much money, how much everything he was putting into it, And then they announced the Craig Jones Invitational like the same day, and it's happened before in jiu-jitsu, right, where they do stuff to kind of hurt the organization, right? And I'm like, oh man, like I was upset, right? Because why the same day? Why can't you just do it like another
Next weekend or something?
Yeah. So I was kind of defensive, right, at first, right? But then I started to see Craig Jones start to post on social media. And man, it was like very creative, like blowing up, spray painting ADCC sucks or whatever on some old car in Ukraine.
It's clever.
Blowing it up with the bazooka, right? And it was like getting a lot of traction, right? Getting a lot of like eyes, and people were wanting to, see what was next, right? And I was like, man, and Henzo Gracie started commentating. Many people, like old school guys, are commentating. I was like, man, it's actually really good for the sport, Of course, then the event was like done really well as well, But what are your thoughts on Craig Jones and that whole genre?
At the intention, I think he tried to kind of break the attention, take the attention a little bit away from ADCC, which he did. He made a lot of noise. He took some of the competitors to compete in there, so he accomplished what he wanted it. But why deeply, in my opinion, he wanted to probably hurt the event. I don't think he ended up doing that. I think it ended up promoting even more. Generally,
for the sport, right?
I was there.
The sport.
I was there on the finals there. We ended up inviting John Jones, so I got along there. And I was
for the CGI or for the
ADCC? ADCC.
Yeah.
So I saw the ADCC was packed in there.
Packed, I was
great
there
fights
too.
that I watched the finals there as well. So it didn't impact it as much in there. Probably ended up losing there, but I feel the jiu-jitsu community in general won two big events. They could be watching side by side, and I think ultimately after all, everyone won on that. Greg Jones doing his event pretty soon coming up in August.
During Master Worlds, right?
Yeah, September.
End of this month. During Master Worlds, yeah.
Oh, the same weekend?
Yeah.
Oh, look at that.
I already have tickets.
All right.
Kevin got me on. He's like, make sure you get tickets. I was like, all right.
Yeah,
Sure.
okay. So I'm planning on being over there, for the world to have some students competing there. But I think that everybody wants from there because right now you have this new organization that pays big money and bring big attention to it.
Yeah.
And ADCC is gonna do next year that too, and it will be just fine, So in Poland, I think ADCC is gonna be doing
Right.
So yeah, it's complete. I don't think Greg Jones wanted to go all the way to Poland to have to be on the same spot in there, but I think everybody's winning on this one here,
Well, Craig Jones, right? He posted like the Crips and the Blood, like them together, him and Mo, like with their hands together, right? Both winning.
Yes.
What was that like the last couple weeks ago, right?
Yeah, that's probably how I feel it is here. Definitely a lot of respect to Craig Jones to take something probably on a funny way, just crack jokes in there, and it becomes something big in there. I don't know who's funding in there. I don't care whatever it is. I think
Who do you think is funding it? The people still don't.
I heard that
Mark Zuckerberg, right? First.
Nicky Rod, when he was here, said it wasn't Mark Zuckerberg.
It wasn't Mark Zuckerberg.
It's just some guy out of
That's
Saudi
what
Arabia or something.
Yeah, that's what I heard. Someone with money, and then I want to just put it in there, travel him all over the world, and there put him with the big stacks, money in there. I was like,
he's building gyms at low income places with that.
It's amazing. It's amazing.
Yes, that's what I said.
It's so good for the sport.
And
Like
he's
it's
taking, and he respects it, and he also is taking away the seriousness from.
It makes it funny. We're laughing.
You're talking about Brazil being a little too serious and not.
Remember the IBJF? Maybe I forgot which it was a black belt finals. I don't know. I forgot the name, but he won like literally in the last second, and he celebrated, and ran off the mat and jumped into the crowd, and he came back and the ref DQ'd him.
What's his name here? He's from Atos. forgot his name right now, but it's lightweight.
Like a rooster weight or something, or a super feather.
Yeah. What's his name? It's cut out of my head right now. I would remember him. He's from Manaus.
Manaus, yeah. And I was like, man, like from back in the day, like at the Tijuca Tennis Club, like the Worlds, right? From there to like that, and the guys were all have suits, and it's like, man, like the part of the sport, part of us like being young and being excited about it was like the realness, the primalness of it, right? And I don't know. There's like, I want to be serious, but not that serious. So Craig Jones is like the exact like the opposite, right? Side of that. Opposite side of the spectrum.
Yeah, it's breaking all the rules, make their own, what is makes sense. What I think he's thinking about the entertainment there too, beyond the part, even the way they set up the mats, and then the UFC kind of copied it. It's like, oh, you try to copy here, the karate combat.
Karate combat, yeah, right, exactly right. And so now the UFC, you said UFC BJJ, they have the same like pit, right?
Same pit, and it's
similar.
Copywriting and all that, but just do a little modification, and just be the intellectual.
And it was
property.
good, right? It was good. Like that's like they don't fall out. They're like it's more like an event, right?
Yeah, and then there's not much running around. It's just like almost like a cage, but a pit. It's exciting. I think this is the new era of jiu-jitsu. The athletes can make a living out of it.
Yeah.
Start becoming a reality. But just like I see there, when I see we have seen a lot of people making the money. No, not a lot of people making money. They are making some decent money there. Don't have salary there, but in comparison with all the sports, it's hard to call even professional because the amount of people that are making decent money is very, very small still. Even in the UFC, it's such a big organization.
Yeah.
The way I see the reality, some of the fighters that end up in stopping competing or retiring, they might have to go and find a different job. Getting there.
Yeah, you watch it, you see it firsthand, right? Guys that you worked with, guys that you see around, right? They were contenders, they were top guys, and now they're like, after the fight, their fight life is over.
What Master Carlos Gracie Jr. worried about their competitors, then why didn't they worry about their fighters? Like pretty much what they're gonna be doing in there. But it's not about you. It's completely different relationships.
Yeah, because they're professional fighters, right? You got paid when you did it, right? But it's the same thing, right? Whatever you do, like you gotta set yourself up, right, to be able to.
I don't think it looks good for the organization to see former fighters not doing well. I do see that, and I believe it. I don't know much about it, but I do believe Dana White does help some of the former fighters, former champions. They've been going there, maybe not as good as they should, whatever. But I do see him taking care of some other fighters as well too. The organization. Anyways, what I'm seeing not about to putting nothing in negative way. I always see that this is all part of the growth, the development of martial arts as a general, and I think we are better off than would have been back the days with the old mentality. We need to evolve. We need to be looking outside of other sports and what they're doing so that we can try to replicate that.
Yeah. Where do you see jiu-jitsu going in the next 10 years?
Man, the way I'm seeing the past 20, that since I 19 years, but past 20 years, pretty much, we will see there, is growing rapidly. It's hard to make a prediction what's going to be happening there.
It's going to be growing, right?
It's growing exponential. I know it's not something there. It's going to be it's exponential in there. And I do see my son making a living, competing, the biggest. Stage. That's kind of one from him too. Competition definitely builds different character, resilience, self-confidence, humbleness, humility, all that. Besides training jiu-jitsu, you give that, but competing it goes a little beyond in there. So I advise my students to compete on an amateur level in there. My family, my kids, my wife competed before. I want my kids to be involved as well.
Your wife was a gymnast, right?
She was gymnast since 3 years old, and she got scholarship in UC Davis through gymnastics. She's a Hall of Famer over there. I'm very proud husband.
Gonna have some good babies, good athletic babies.
For sure. She taught me how to eat properly. She kind of worked with my conditioner when I competed, did the ADCC trials in Brazil, ended up winning. Was under her strength conditioning program that I did it. So she's very knowledgeable. She's a professor in the University of Long Beach.
Okay.
She's teaching nutrition and kinesiology.
Wow.
And also she has 2 other companies, which is online coaching, and now she's getting into AI provider in that too. So she is a go-getter.
Wow.
You know, I'm become stay more home, stay dad. You know, just take care of my kids there, which I really like it there, and run my business jiu-jitsu. You know, I'm no longer coaching fighters, no longer competing. You know, I'm just running the schools, teach some classes in there, and raise my kids. And I'm in the best spot that I could be. You know,
It's beautiful,
I
man.
don't want to be anywhere else.
Amazing. Yeah, when I talked to you at the Worlds, that's what you were saying. I was like, man, we gotta catch up and talk
For
a little
sure,
bit, you know.
man. Like, I will say it again. I have to thank you. You know, so I'm a lot of Professor Fabio, Master Carlos Cristiano, and everyone that make a big impact in my life. You know, giving me directions. You know, mentor me. You know, and definitely, you know, we're humble enough over here to thank you. You know, and tell that you the man. You know, you did a lot to me.
Thank you, brother. Thank you. I wanted to say one more thing. You were talking about the CGI and all the different grappling things. You know, somebody made like a reel on Instagram, and they're like, "Hey, you know, the gi's dead. The gi is dead." Ha ha ha! Just kidding. Look at this place. The Master Worlds and the Jiu-Jitsu Con. There's like, I don't know, 100 mats right behind them. You know?
Thousand competitors. You know, 4
that's-
tournaments in one.
All those people are funding all the ADCCs and all the stuff. That's the public, right?
Yes.
So what are your thoughts on the gi versus no gi? Whatever it is.
Well, I can just plain simple. Without the gi, there is no gi.
It's a trick question, right?
I can answer it right there. So guys, come on. You know, we can do no gi, we can learn that, but hey,
Dude, that's what we're like.
but
Dude,
it's still right there. You know, without the gi,
I only do no gi. Like what?
you do jiu-jitsu period. That's my Master Carlos Jr. has that. Hey,
That's
this
it.
is jiu-jitsu, guys. You know, the Brazilian jiu-jitsu that I teach there is gi.